Hello everybody and welcome to another Total Annihilation replay. Today I have a very special game for you on a very special map. We have myself, FFAxPostal, versus aNaRkYDiablo on the pass. That's right, today I am bringing to you one of TA's most iconic maps. Why is it iconic, you might be asking? Well, because I say so. It's iconic in that a lot of people hated this map and no one wanted to play it. So here on the left we have myself, and on the bottom right we have Diablo. You'll notice that we're actually both core. Now, to give you an idea behind this game, I had played against Diablo on this and IGW, and I had played core, and Diablo had played ARM, and I beat him, and this is the rematch. Now, this game was played in 2005, or was it 2006? No, it would have been 2005. And Diablo is saying he digs my strat because this is his first time that he had actually played against the K-bot farming. And he's talking about how bombers can't bomb K-bots. Now, it's not entirely true, but it's actually quite difficult for bombers to bomb K-bots. And core is really good here because the shadow is such a strong unit. Now, this particular video and game was played before I had discovered bomber stacks. So it was just classic, standard, gentlemanly bombing, as Tiptushi would say. So I got to talk a little bit about this map. You can see here we've got the two metal extractors, both of them +2s on each side. You'll see that we have a mix of winds and solars. Diablo is asking, what metal do your K-bots give? He says 0.2. I say 0.3, but it's actually 0.25. And so you can see Diablo is actually correcting me. He says, check again. I say they're more efficient than solars. And Diablo is correct. They actually don't make 0.3, they make 0.25. And so Diablo is saying they can't be. And I say, I did a little math where if you take the energy, and this is what Diablo is realizing here, if you take the energy that they make and then turn that into metal, then they're actually more efficient cost-wise. Now, this doesn't include the startup cost of the K-bot lab right here. So overall, when you're using K-bots and farming them, you have to overcome this cost that's not doing anything right now. The lab isn't actually producing anything other than the K-bots themselves, but it's not producing any resources. You can see where Diablo, he's doing the standard solars and metal makers. And this was determined to be, at the time that we were playing, was the most efficient way to play the map. Now, I had seen a few other people do, one other person specifically. AndrewAce was a game that I had watched, and other people in the past have told me about it. But the times that I saw the people doing the K-bots, it was interesting, but it wasn't anything spectacular, and it didn't seem like it was any better than the people playing with solars. You can see Diablo, he's planning on going the solar route. He's built vehicle, now he's reclaiming it. He's built the metal makers right here, and he is reclaiming. I am worried about air first, so I've gone ahead and put out a bunch of missile towers. But it turns out I didn't need to. Diablo is staying on the ground. He's also putting up a quick missile tower as well. You can see he's reclaimed that vehicle plant, and he immediately takes it and starts building solars with it. This is Diablo being a little cheeky right here. What he's done is he has taken this and force-fired right here, which is the highest point in the pass, with the objective of getting that missile to just kind of launch off in this little trajectory here and then land on my base. It was an obnoxious thing that people would do. We can see how the missile is actually trying to curve around and hit the original spot there. That's because it's a homing missile. So now this map, as interesting as it is and as much as I like it, it is actually not balanced from right to left. You can see here on the right side, the metal extractors are further apart. On the left side, they are closer together, but there are actually more trees on the ground over here. You can see the forest is quite a bit denser on the right than it is on the left, meaning that there is more readily accessible energy to reclaim here. Now you can see I'm doing my best to try and keep that energy bar down and keep stalling, but also crank out as many bots as possible. So I say, you see Diablo's doing the same thing. He's toggling his metal makers on and off. I say they might make +2 7. And Diablo says, uh-oh, and then puts a smiley face on. I say they say +3, which is what they say on the tooltip, but that's actually just a rounding error. You can see here how my commander says he makes 1.0. I say maybe even 2.26. I say I didn't know that the game broke down metal that low, and Diablo says I did. And I say I are noob, and that is kind of true at this point. This is before I had ever had any games. And I says I gotta redo my math for the Solar versus K-Bot. Yeah, I really didn't have any big wins. Me beating Diablo when he was playing as ARM on this map was one of my first, wins against Diablo, and at the time he was the best player, and so I kind of felt like I'd arrived. But he immediately demanded a rematch, and this time he brought core, and I had beaten him quite handily with the K-Bots. So, but he's not one to walk away from a game that easy. So he's quite competitive. So you can see he's just building these rows of solars, and you can see right now he's sitting around 12 metal, not steady. I'm sitting around 9.5. So you can see he's ahead of me at this point. So you can see how much faster the solars actually get going. The other thing you notice about the pass, this is very winding. There is no way for a commander to actually walk over that. You can degun through this wall because your range will actually be close enough. Some of these trees that are close on the hill are actually accessible from the ground. The other thing you can see I'm doing is I'm dropping Dragon's Teeth in the pass because in case he decides he wants to send units, I want time to be able to react to them and move my commander to here so I can just degun them as they come through, or even up here and just degun as they come through. Diablo is also building a K-Bot lab of his own. Now we're 9 minutes in, and you could say, why on earth did you like this map, Postal? This map is so boring. Nobody's actually killed anything, and you've been playing for nearly 10 minutes. Well, that's because I enjoy this slow, steady build-up, where we don't exactly know what we're doing, but we know that there's some threats going on here. So you can see Diablo's flipping kind of between 15, 14 metal, and I'm staying relatively steady at 13. I'm also dropping a second K-Bot lab. You can see I have 2 K-Bots guarding right here to make it produce a little bit faster. However, the commander is the superior guarder of the K-Bots. But I also bring 2 here to guard, and my commander is able to move forward. At this point, I guess I have more build power than I have resources for. That's why everybody's just sitting idle. See, Diablo's pushed out 2 storms, and he's building a whole bunch of K-Bots of his own. That was one interesting thing that Diablo said is, at this time when I was playing, I didn't improvise. Everything that I did was a very kind of strict strategy. Whereas Diablo improvised everything he did. He said he would go into a game, and he didn't exactly have a plan. You can see he's doing the same annoying thing with the storms right there, where he's shooting at the high point, the rockets fly over, and they fall down and land. I say, aw, boo, because I know it's a lame thing. Now, you might wonder, okay, how did I mark that radar without actually being able to see it? I didn't scout it, but I marked it. It's because I had it on radar, and what you do is while you are... while you have your unit highlighted, you hover over it in radar, and you click on it, and you'll see that this appears. And so that shows you where it is on the map. So all I had done is I had picked a unit, clicked on that, and then I had seen that, and then as soon as that came in, I mark it. And then I know that's where it's at. All right. First scouting run comes in. I go ahead and you can see I draw lines over the solars right here. You can see Diablo has gone air as well. And so right about the same time, about 15 minutes in, we're going bombing. I scout again. My objective here is to try and take down that plant or bomb resources. In comes Diablo. nice little run from him. See, he's got these storms in a really nice spot, taking that out. Unfortunately, they're a little too close, and they get degunned, and I take care of the nuisance. I repair the metal extractor, and rebuild my nanoblock. See what I did there is I took 2 bombers, and then I started my run there. It takes 2 bombers to be able to destroy solars, as long as your bombs all hit across. You can see these 2 right here are very close to dead. But Diablo brings up his K-Bot and repairs it. I'm also marking out the anti-air as I fly my scouts in. Again, my 2 K-Bot labs continuously producing additional resources. Diablo stalling on both metal and energy at this point. He knows he's got a decent, easy run-in right here, so you can see he's starting to build up his nanoblocking. See what I also did there? Bombed out the resources. Bombed the missile towers on the fly-in. I bring my commander down now to hose out these bombers faster. And the thing that I like about this too is this kind of turns it into almost like a real-time strategy game into a turn-based game. So now Diablo's turn to bomb run. Doesn't get anything for his trouble, loses 1 bomber, flies back on screen, and manages to get it, but it leaves a full wreck, which is good news for me. It means I'll be able to replace it very quickly. Again, I've got plenty of build power, so it's not the metal that I'm lacking. Matter of fact, I've got enough metal in storage at this point that I'm sure as I reclaim this, I'll be able to get my second lab down as well. Diablo's still on 1. Continuing to produce more solars with his additional K-Bots. Also moving his construction vehicle out into the pass. Now these missile towers, they have oftentimes, because of the way the height map works on this map, the bomber is actually flying really, really high. So as soon as it appears in sight, this first missile tower is going to miss. But the reason why you have units and missile towers this far out into the pass is for line of sight. So these missile towers, because the bombers will be seen right here, will actually be able to lock on and hit the target before they can actually arrive back here. My bombing run goes in and it's successful, knocks out his air lab, and so he is going to be stuck with 4 bombers at this point. I'm running on 2 fully K-Bot guarded air labs, also putting up more of my own anti-air. Off-screen bombing run. Now, one of the things that I'll do on this map too is I will use bombers as a scout, kind of. 2 simultaneous bombing runs. Diablo doesn't get anything. It says F that. He produces more bombers. It's a fun little thing to do, is you can be, again, knowing that the bombers are very high in elevation, you kind of bomb, sling the bombs, and then fly off screen before you come back on. Just a nice little trick for things that are on the top. Bomber comes back again for another run. Bomber survives yet again, so I can keep this little corner and even these cleared out. What I'm doing here is I'm clearing the way for an attack on these solars on the top side of the map. So part of the idea for coming back on screen and just slinging bombs everywhere is to be able to see what he's doing. So you can kind of use your raid bombing as scouting. It's not as good as scouts because it's not as fast, you're not going to be able to see as much, but they can be destructive and obnoxious, which I like being. So you might also be wondering, how on earth did I convince people to play this map with me? Well, oftentimes we would do a you pick, I pick for ladder matches. So you'd play a game where you let the first person pick a map, and then I would pick a map. And this would always be on my list of maps to play because I was a core player, and this is and at the time, what I had thought to be the only core map in existence. I did make some additional, I made some additional, not discoveries really, some things that help bring other maps into balance. This is still, of the original Cave Dog maps, this is really the only one that is truly advantage core, other than dark side, which you may have already seen on this channel. So I got plenty of bombers now. It's time for another run on the air plants. I haven't done any additional scouting though, so I don't see this one coming up. Last bomber takes it out. Now, one thing that I didn't do there is I didn't do what I'd call a lead bombing run, and Diablo bombed me at the same time, so we're not doing our turns in order. Nice run by him, taking out those 2 labs. And I'm having trouble, you can see, getting the bombers to their destination because of the line of sight from the missile towers in the middle. As you can see, he's got plenty of line of sight, although he actually can't see these. That's a little bit of bug right there. We might actually have our line of sight set to circular on the map. Diablo's got 3 air labs going right now because he just took out 2 of mine. I've only replaced 1. Now, this was about the time where the game ended last time. It was probably about, I want to say, 30, 40 minutes in, where I had successfully bombed Diablo down to not much of anything, and we concluded things. Here, Diablo has done a lot better, in part because he's core. He's been able to be much more successful with his bombers. He's built a few K-bots himself, so he's now running 1, 2, 3, 4 air plants. I'm only on 3 right now with no nano blocking. Part of the reason why for that is because I wanted to make sure my K-bots could guard. I don't know if I realized at the time that it's not too difficult to just drop 1 wind in the top corner here and cause significant problems for bombing. The pass is actually quite difficult to bomb on. Again, because of the high elevation coming down to low elevation, the bombers will drop their bombs in a different spot. So if you want to bomb this target right here, see how Diablo bombed both of these? You might think, well, he just clicked here and then he clicked here. That wasn't the case. He actually had to click right about here to bomb this target, and he had to click again right about here to bomb the target right there, based on the angle that the bombers were coming in at. Nice little accidental bomber stack by Diablo right there. Dropped some bombs on the head of my commander, but there's only a few of them. But because he's got so many plants going, he's already got another bomber run up. And you can see he missed that one right there. And that's because from this angle coming in, you have to pick... I'm trying to remember exactly. Yeah, you have to kind of lead right about there, since he was coming more from the top. That time, though, a straight line is much easier. You click right about there. I bomb back and don't get anything for my... and only pick up 1 plant for my trouble right there. Because he controls the pass, off-screen is now my primary vector of attack. If you noticed, coming straight across the pass is a lot easier. Again, seeing how as if you want to destroy this target right here, you'd click right about here if you're coming from that angle right there. Now, coming from off-screen, because you're coming from a higher angle, the location to pick is a little bit more ambiguous, and the timing is a little more difficult. So he has the easier bombing runs right now, because he controls line of sight into the pass because of these missile towers that he's got. You see what I'm doing, though, is I'm not continuing to build more air plants. I have moved to advanced K-bot. He has actually done the same. He's got an advanced K-bot lab on his side. As Khan has reclaimed my Dragon's Teeth. I see the Khan and I move to bomb it. My missile tower gets done first. And that pushes him back a little bit. But he's got Dominators. Who says you don't see these units in total annihilation? Because of the high elevation and the high launch vector of the Dominators, they are good at shooting over the hill and causing all kinds of problems. I also have my advanced K-bot lab, but you notice I'm not building Dominators. Instead, I am building Voyeurs. Voyeurs are radar K-bots. When turned off, they produce 16 metal. It's a nice run by me. You see how I came down from the top, bombed missile towers, and took out those. Diablo returns the favor. fantastic run by him. Bombers survive off the bottom side and takes out 3 air plants on the run. Advantage to him on those right there. You see I'm building some Dominators of my own now to retaliate. Turning these off, they make 16 energy. They're about as efficient, maybe a little bit more efficient than Solars. Yeah, a little bit more efficient. The thing about them is they build incredibly fast. Dominator's doing hard work here, enabling him to push forward. He's cleared out my line of sight missile towers too, giving him even cleaner bombing runs over the front. Bombing run for me, coming in. Bomb some Solars, take out an air plant. Not a bad run. Move my Dominator into position. See how I'm shooting back. These missiles are dumbfire, they don't home, and so you can kind of walk your Dominators around. I'm also putting out a can. And not a unit you see very often in high-level TA play, but I decided to opt for one in this situation. At this point, I feel like I'm on the ropes here. See, I have to keep walking that around to avoid it getting killed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Dominators now, and he is causing serious problems for me. My Dominator gets taken out. He's also building roaches. That's right. And he's marching them through the pass for some reason. I think he intends to pick them up. There you go. So he's got a Valkyrie. He intends to roach bomb me. I really don't like it on roach bombing on this map. I think it's an exceptionally obnoxious tactic because it kind of denies the top half of the map. But it is part of the game. Kind of as gentlemanly rules, I don't use them just because A, I'm not very good at them, and B, I don't like them. I don't think they're particularly very fun on this map. But this is a game for all the marbles. Brilliant run by Diablo, completely wipes me out. You can see, though, I'm producing close to 30 metal to his 20. So he's not producing additional resource-producing things and is kind of stuck on, well, his Solars and metal. So the whole time that he's been bombing my air labs, you can see my K-bot factories have still been producing more and more K-bots. So I accidentally Control-Z all my K-bots at that point because I intended to Control-Z these guys. You can see he's flying this roach in right there. He's trying to destroy my K-bots. All he does right there is a little bit of lumberjacking. He's returning to bombers. I don't know if he thinks that the roaches are going to be particularly effective. And the cans. I've moved in. He tries to bomb them. You can see how tough they are. Short range, slow. You can see how with enough missile towers you can take out a can. This can right here is full health though. We'll see if it can actually find its way to the target. Powerful laser, just 2 shots, takes out a missile tower. And what that's done for me is actually that's given me a lane to bomb through right here, where the line of sight doesn't pick up until here, whereas up here the line of sight is much sooner. See, I'm trying to clear that a little bit more, give myself a little bit more breathing room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 air labs, all back up again. Here comes Diablo's run to try and take it all out. Not as good a run right there, he only takes out 2. Just kidding, swings back on screen, and makes it 3. Not a bad run. 31 metal by me, 20 by Diablo. Another roach bomb incoming. Detonates a little too early, but he does manage to pick up some K-bots. Because these aren't patrolling right now, they're actually not, bombers going off screen on top. Because they're not patrolling, they're not automatically repairing each other. which is something I probably should have done at this point. You can see I'm actually accessing energy. Take out the 2 factories and a metal extractor. Another nuke, or roach right there. You can see I'm also pushing out some storms out of this 1 KBot lab. I'm going to try and create a little bit of space for myself in the pass. Move that around so you can see I've got a corner right here. And that one doesn't get anything for its trouble. His team of Dominators is moving back in. See, I'm putting out an advanced construction KBot. Diablo has not done that. He still hasn't replaced his metal extractor. I am nearly plus 10 metal over him at this point. So you can see how I've actually got more real estate. I could build more stuff than he can. He's really crowded over here. I have lots of build power, and I've got more resources. You see how what I did there is I dodged my commander. Somehow my lab survives. It's because he bombed across the bottom of it right here. Whereas if you bomb across the top, that's where you actually have to run your bombs if you actually want to be able to get it. What am I doing? I'm telling all you people who are watching this how to actually beat me on this map. I can't have that happening. So you can see the storms are moving in. The can is there. That will actually do a decent job of protecting. See, the powerful storm missiles are only scratching the paint on the can. Although he's out of range. This is why we should all play Pro TA when it comes out, everybody, because that problem will be fixed. Another big run for me, take out a bunch of solars, take out some additional labs, and the resource production, my resource production is really coming alive right now. He's got the factories, but he just doesn't have nearly as much ability to replace his stuff as fast as I can. Clean run by Diablo right there. It takes out 2 factories, so I'm only sitting on 3, but with the 4th one on the way, I actually have the same number that he has at this point. See, I'm starting to build a nuke in the bottom left. Diablo is reclaiming his advanced KBot lab. At least that's what it looks like, or is he repairing it? Trying to do a little more bombing to protect myself. Take out one of them. Both bombing runs go off at the same time. I take it on air lab, Diablo takes out an air lab. 1 for 1. Again, though, that's advantage me. See, the storms are getting too close to that can, which quickly tears them apart. A few bombs and a few missile towers, and my can problem is solved. It's a lot of metal for him. He did reclaim his advanced KBot lab, and he's putting out his regular. Diablo didn't really know about the voyeur trick. Now, this bombing run is actually pretty easy to do. When things are coming in the pass, you just kind of bomb right up in here, and that'll keep things out with having to risk your commander. And he bombs out my nuke as I'm building it. I'm at 33 metal now. Diablo's still at 20. And you can see where he's just maxed out on space. He's starting to build more KBots of his own. I move my commander in. The commander's D-gun is longer than the can's laser. I'm trying to D-gun in there, and I'm just missing. You can see how I'm keeping my commander back, but I do know that this is likely to happen. So I drop my commander after just taking out 2 of the cans. I push out 3 more of my own Dominators. You can see how I've kind of started to neglect my bombing because I am worrying about cans and Dominators on my front. But I go back out. Time for another run. See, I also not just took out those 3 air labs, I also took out his row of metal makers too, dropping his resource production down. It's a temporary thing. It's not a huge loss. Sends a bomber in to do a little scouting, and also took out my metal extractor. And here comes his bombing run. Nice run, takes out 2 factories. Move my Dominators a little too close to the can. Another run by Diablo 2. Nice job. You can see what he did there is he split his bombers in 2 groups, came in from 2 separate angles, took advantage of the fact that the can is currently absorbing all my AA fire right now to really wipe out this entire top half of the map with his bombers. So at this point, the advantage is back in Diablo's court. As far as the initiative, I'm down to just 2 air plants, not producing nearly enough bombers. He has left this alone. And my Dominators are starting to put pressure on the cans in the middle, and he's out of Dominators himself. And the cans, as slow as they are, they can still dodge the even slower Dominator missiles. See, I'm hastily, haphazardly dropping more missile towers. And the guns fall silent. Dominators are in a bad position here. The can walks up on them. Nice run by Diablo there. Takes them out. Doesn't leave a wreck. I'm down to just 1 planet. And the Storms are able to make quick work of his final can. At this point, I really need to be reclaiming that metal, but you can see I've got some in storage. I've got nearly 2,000 in storage. That's the other thing about the K-Bots is they count as metal storage. So you're actually getting more and more metal and energy storage as you go on. Finally, now with Dominator dominance in the middle, I'm able to start clearing out his line of sight missile towers. He has brought these K-Bots forward to repair his can, which is now full health, against a full battery of Storms. I'm just walking them past. And he decides to finally take out that advanced lab, and he does so successfully, even though he didn't necessarily bomb it in the best location. It was plenty. This can is severely injured, but it walked right past the Storms. It's going for the real target that he wants. He wants to take out those Dominators. They're what are harassing him. Will the single Storm save the day? No. So the can is going to have its way. Another bombing run coming in for me. I missed this right there. I did manage to tag some solars. You can see how after the bombers are dying, while you still have some residual line of sight, I go ahead and I quickly mark as many things as I can. You can see I actually have a nice run coming from the top down through there. I don't remember if I take it. It's not an easy run to pull off. All my Dominators are dead. My advanced K-Bot lab is down too. Diablo doing another scouting run with his bomber. And at this point, Diablo continues to have the advantage. He's caught back up in resources too because he's doing K-Botting of his own. You can see he's sitting around about 30 right now to my 32. I have a ton of wrecks that I could be using. You can see he's also finally taken out one of the K-Bot labs. I'm sending in a construction con to reclaim. And mostly just to clear away for my bots. You can see he's marked this. I think he's actually marked it in the wrong location. Oh no, he's marked the commander. Ooh. Not enough bombers to do the job. I stood still and took that one full in the face. Half health. That's actually good for me. That was a run that would have otherwise been targeted for right about here. I only get 1 air plant there for my trouble. Really not worth it. I got a flacker up as well, a Cobra. These are nice for dealing with the heavy air that I've been dealing with at this point. Even though this is ostensibly a land map, because there is a way to access your opponent by land, this is very much an air map, and specifically a bomber map. There's really not enough space for Hawks to be able to do much damage. You kind of have to fly over your opponent to get line of sight. By then, you're vulnerable to anti-air of all sorts. The Hawks are expensive. Bombers are just simply a better use of resources. See, he's put up an advanced radar. Diablo is smarter than I, but you can also see that this part of the radar is missing. That's because I have actually built some Spectres, which are the radar jammers. I haven't built my advanced radar because I am a noob. See, I'm producing more Dominators. See how that Cobra fired a few shots right there. I didn't think it got it, and the missile towers cleaned him up. And my Dominators are back in action. And now I move to take line of sight advantage. Storms are great at clearing missile towers and fighting the cans, but they are awful at fighting bombers. You can see he just lined them up and knocked those dominoes down with those bombers. Didn't lose a single bomber, wiped out the entire army of Storms. Looks like he may have lost his bombers there. You see they're patrolling out front. If they fly over the Dominators, they will just start to go on an attack run. A small pack of bombers flies in. See, he marks air plant, but he doesn't mark the nuke. His own Storms are now in, fighting. See, I'm using my Dominators again, clearing out these line-of-sight missile towers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 air plants to my 4. Part of the reason Diablo reclaimed his advanced K-Bot lab is he didn't really know what else to do with it other than build Dominators. I don't think he knew at the time that Voyeurs were such good resources. You can see I'm continuing to pump out Voyeurs. Bad use of my Dominators right there, just walking them in. I think they have them on maneuver. You can see now that I've cleared out line of sight, I now take advantage of the head-on attack run, but I don't get anything for my trouble. Sees the nuke and takes it out. See, I'm building crashers. What I want is to be able to fill this with any air. Diablo realizes what I'm doing. He says, "What E do Voyeur give you?" I'm a little busy at this point, so I'm not typing. Diablo is on 28 metal because I've taken out a few of his K-Bots. You can see my resources continue to go up. I'm at 37.5. This K-Bot lab consistently producing more and more resources. Bad targeting by me. I click too low, get nothing for my run. So I'm building another nuke right up against the wall. See, now I've got these crashers in the middle. They're not very good, but they are better anti-air than Storms. Managed to take out one bomber. Diablo brings in his commander. Again, I just misclick on this first air lab right here and don't get anything for it. Now you might be wondering, why doesn't he just walk his commander up? There's some dangerous territory for a commander in here with this many bombers flying around. Nice run by Diablo. You can see we just completely cleaned up. Again, I failed to hit this airplane in the right spot. This is a long run of territory right here where he's vulnerable to bombers, as well as the missiles of the crashers, so that's why he doesn't decide to push that any further. You can see he cloaks too, just to get himself off of radar, because he knows that is happening. And that wasn't very many bombers, but there was enough bombers to send the message. I got more building to do over here than... I have plenty of resources, plenty of build power, but at this point I seem to be short on real time, just trying to manage everything because I'm not that good at managing it. His bombers accidentally fly over my crashers, and he loses a bunch. His forward patrol area right here isn't doing him any favors. He actually needs to take all these labs and then redirect their patrol further back. He's still kind of thinking like he has that nice line of sight screen that he had earlier. It's difficult to send your attackers right through here because you can just come with your bombers and drop bombs off screen. So this is the most dangerous territory for any land units, even coming from both sides, because the bombers can come in from either way. Let's see if I actually do it this time. Finally, take out that air lab and get the second one. 38 metal now is what I'm producing. Diablo's on 26. You can see how his metal is slowly going down because he stopped building construction K-bots. He's having to replace them now. I now have, again, that line of sight advantage. In the middle, he's only got his front. I'm holding the middle 2 rows. D-guns that Dominator. Another nuke under construction. See, he marks all those airplanes. You can also see on the top left here, I've got another nuke going. I realized that Diablo was spending a lot of time focusing his attention and primarily using bombers from scouting, but on everything that's below here. And so I take advantage of that by building that nuke in the top left. Decent run by me, take out 2. The commander comes in and cleans up some crashers. I send my clashers a little too close to these storms and too close to this commander. I realize it too late, and he knocks him down like dominoes. At this point, I'm trying to save up enough bombers to threaten the commander. You see, there's this commander. I go ahead and I drop some bombs on him. Quarter health. He gets hung up on his own storm, and it's down to red. I say, I was surprised that didn't get you. That's the danger of bringing your commander out into the pass. It's a long way to run if you get damaged. 3 air labs dropped by Diablo at this point. You can see he still hasn't spotted the nuke in the top right. He sees this one, though, and he knows that I've been trying to build a nuke, and he seems to only be looking for 1 nuke at a time. Here comes that run. Nicely done. Takes out the factory. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 air to my 3. This nuke is incredibly easy to bomb because you can just simply come from off screen and drop your bombs on it. So he knows that too, so I'm kind of taking advantage of the fact that both of us know that this part of the map is useless. You can see he's not really building much up here either. Marks it. Still didn't find the nuke. Bomb the construction K-bot. Take out his anti-air. Take out a factory and totally miss his commander. I have 2 nukes nearly done at this point. Only 1 operational air plant that's not even producing bombers. Making 39 metal. He sees where I'm collecting my K-bots. He decides he wants to take out some of those resources. tons of bombers from Diablo at this point. All of his metal at this point is going into producing those bombers. My nuke is done. I move stuff away from it. I don't want it to get any attention. Bomber comes from off screen. He sees that this nuke is almost done. He's got more than enough bombers to take care of it, so he's going to come in and clean up that mess right now. He misses. Sends the next run. Misses again. It is kind of tough because you actually have to move your attack closer to your target the further back you get as the bombers are dropping from elevation. Drops more bombs on it. Hits it a few times. Because it's under construction, it's not being repaired, it's just being built, so that is a plus for him. But again, he doesn't realize that there is now one on the top left. Diablo still has the air advantage, but I am not really worried about that anymore. I have lots of resources, and I'm currently building a nuke without stalling. So yeah, I scout with the bomber right there. And he finally gets the nuke. I've got 3 air labs up now because he's been bombing the nukes. I have a sad face, like he just took out my only way of winning. The chat is part of the game. Here comes his run. Didn't get much for his trouble there. Just took out the metal extractor and a few K-bots. Nuke. Diablo says nuke. I say, no? Question mark. He says effer. So he now knows that there's a live nuke somewhere. And he's sending in some bombers to try and find it. 23 kills on that nuke. He says, you're joking, right? I say, no. And second nuke is fired. He says, K. He finds the nuke. Take out some of his K-bots. Take out his air plants. Now the air advantage is to me. 2 nukes have more than even the score. Also taking out a lot of his anti-air. My bombers get to survive quite a bit longer. I now send K-bots up to try and repair a nanoblock, but he gets it before I can finish the job. I start building another nuke up front. We are an hour and a half in, people. I bombed some old bad markers. It's the interesting thing about this, too. A wasted nuke or a wasted bombing run is difficult. Diablo says, you win, we play some other time. He knows he's down at this point big time on resources. I'm at 39, he's at 25. And he says, GG, and he goes ahead and surrenders at this point after an hour and a half of, as Malloy described, tense cat and mouse. So this game was a really big deal for me. I know right after Diablo surrendered, and this is the second one I had won in a row. Now, you win the first game, you can call it a fluke, right? And you can say like, oh, well, you just beat me by luck. But the fact that I beat him in the rematch was vindication, was not just vindication, it was proof to me that the K-bot strategy was something real, and that it was really good. I remember I was in my my barracks. I was stationed at Fort Carson at the time, and I just like leaned back in my chair and went like, oh my, I can't believe that happened. You can take a look at the resources right here. You can see I'm up significantly over Diablo. My excess energy is through the roof because I hadn't quite learned how to balance that just yet. My excess metal is down, so I produce quite a bit more than he did. and a pair of nukes, and better build power, I was going to be able to start hosing out nukes, pushing things up the pass using the Dominators, and he was slowly going to be crumbling underneath my bombing. Now, it doesn't mean he couldn't have come back, but I think that was the right call at this point. So this, I did upload this to Tatters. Malloy was kind enough to review it, and so this became actually, I think, the most downloaded demo I ever had. So I peaked relatively early in my Total Annihilation gaming experience. But Diablo's a really good sport about it too, and he remains one of the best players on the map, or at least I presume he still would be. Mostly because everybody hates playing it, no one will play it with me. So if you want to hop on sometime and catch me for a game when the new Pro TA mod comes out, which will be coming out soon, I'm more than happy to take all challengers on the pass. I also want to take some time to shout out Malloy and his brand new YouTube channel, otherwise known as Better Than StarCraft, where most of the time he sits there and plays some smooth music, either in 8-bit form or basically fitting to whatever is going on, and reviews a TA game. Most of the time he is not sober, and so it's a good time for Bants, as Malloy just describes things. So make sure I'll put a link in the description. Make sure you head over to Better Than StarCraft, watch his amazing reviews, especially the Valentine's Day one with the cutoff bombing. The cutoff parts of the screen, reviewing a game that was already reviewed on this channel right there. That's just some high quality drunken TA review right there. I think you'll enjoy the smooth romantic music as Dominator and Destroy's fighters are shooting each other. So I hope you all enjoyed that game, and I will catch you around for another next time. Be sure to subscribe, be sure to like, and catch you all again real soon. Bye-bye.